happens when America's sweetheart finally snaps on live television. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most explosive celebrity interviews ever captured. When Jennifer Aniston completely lost her composure on Jimmy Kimmel in front of millions of viewers. This wasn't your standard Hollywood drama. It was raw, unfiltered fury that left the audience stunned and Kimmel scrambling to regain control. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment, because you won't believe what unfolds. The Jimmy Kimmel Live studio was electric that Tuesday evening. Jennifer Aniston had come to promote her latest project, but what seemed like a routine appearance was about to become television history. The audience buzzed with excitement, unaware they were about to witness one of the most awkward and tense moments in late-night talk show history. As the cameras rolled and Kimmel's theme music faded, he flashed his signature grin at his guest. Jennifer sat poised, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her smile camera ready, exuding the calm professionalism that had made her beloved worldwide. "Ladies and gentlemen, the stunning Jennifer Aniston," Kimmel announced theatrically. The audience erupted in applause. Jennifer waved gracefully, lighting up the studio with her megawatt smile. "Jennifer, thank you so much for being here tonight. You look absolutely radiant," Kimmel said warmly. "Thank you, Jimmy. It's always a pleasure," Jennifer replied, her voice carrying that familiar charm. But there was a subtle tension beneath the surface. Her shoulders held a slight tightness, a tiny furrow around her eyes hinted she wasn't as relaxed as she appeared. Kimmel, seemingly unaware, launched into his first question. "So, Jennifer, I have to ask, there have been some wild rumors about your personal life lately. Thought maybe we could set the record straight." Jennifer's smile faltered. "What rumors would those be, Jimmy?" "You know how tabloids are, relationship rumors, feuds with other actresses, even personal family stuff. I thought you might want to address them yourself." The audience leaned forward, sensing this wouldn't be the usual light-hearted banter. Jennifer straightened imperceptibly. "Jimmy, we agreed before the show we wouldn't discuss my personal life. I'm here to talk about my work, not feed gossip," she said firmly. Kimmel chuckled, but there was a predatory edge. "Come on, Jennifer. Your fans want the real you. Just a little insight, what's happening behind the scenes." "No. We had an agreement, Jimmy, and I expect you to honor it," she replied, steady but firm. The tension in the studio was palpable. Audience members shifted in their seats, camera operators hesitated. Kimmel pressed on, ignoring the discomfort. "But Jennifer, these stories are already out there. Isn't it better to get ahead and tell your side? Some of these rumors could really damage your reputation." Jennifer's eyes flashed with anger. "My reputation has been built over decades of hard work and professionalism, Jimmy. I don't need to defend it against tabloid nonsense, especially not on a talk show meant to promote my project." Kimmel continued, seemingly immune to the warning signs. "Well, your latest project isn't exactly getting rave reviews, right? Maybe opening up about your personal life would help people connect with you, humanize you a bit." The studio fell silent, save for the hum of the cameras. Jennifer stared at him, her composure starting to crack. "Excuse me," she said quietly, dangerously calm. Kimmel, misreading her quietness as consent, leaned forward. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Vulnerability is very in right now. Sharing struggles could help your image." Jennifer gripped the arms of her chair, a warning signal to anyone watching closely. But Kimmel wasn't done. "Plus, there's this whole thing about you supposedly being difficult to work with. Multiple sources say you've been demanding on set lately, maybe even a little diva-like. Care to comment?" The studio gasped audibly. Crew members exchanged worried glances. This had crossed the line even by late-night standards. Jennifer inhaled deeply. When she spoke, her voice was ice cold. "Jimmy, listen to me carefully. We had a pre-show agreement about what topics were off limits tonight. You violated that agreement multiple times, despite my clear requests to stop. You've insulted my work, questioned my professionalism, and repeated unverified gossip as if it were fact. This is your last chance to steer the conversation back to appropriate territory." Kimmel, perhaps thinking he was capturing good television, doubled down. "You know what, Jennifer? Maybe the sources are right. Maybe you are difficult to work with. I mean, you're being pretty difficult right now, And we're just having a conversation, he said, smirking. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. The audience collectively held its breath. Even the band members froze mid-note. Jennifer's smile vanished, replaced by a look of pure, unbridled fury. Her voice cut through the silence like a blade. Difficult. You want to know what difficult is, Jimmy? She stood abruptly, her chair rolling back and bumping the backdrop. Difficult is sitting here while you ambush me on live television after we agreed on boundaries. Difficult is watching you try to humiliate me for ratings while I'm supposed to smile like some trained seal. Kimmel's confident facade faltered. Jennifer, I think you're overreacting. We're just having a conversation. Her voice rose, each word sharp and precise. You call ambushing your guest with tabloid garbage a conversation. You call breaking your word and violating our agreement just talking. Camera operators scrambled. Producers in the control booth stared in horror as the interview spiraled out of control. Look, Jennifer, maybe we should take a breath here. No, Jimmy. You don't get to take a breath now. You wanted to dig into my personal life. Fine. Let's talk about yours. Let's talk about how you built your career making fun of people who can't fight back. Let's talk about your reputation, 'cause I guarantee mine is a hell of a lot better than yours. The audience sat frozen, torn between awe and discomfort. Phones were raised, they knew they were witnessing history. Kimmel tried to regain control, his voice forced calm. Jennifer, I understand you're upset, but we're live, maybe discuss this during the break? Privately. Jennifer laughed, cold and humorless. Like how we privately agreed on off-limit topics. Like how you privately assured my publicist this would be professional. That kind of privately, Jimmy. She stepped closer, radiating controlled fury. Your problem is thinking that because you're the host. This is your show. You can treat guests however you want. You think you can say anything and hide behind the excuse that it's entertainment. Jennifer, please, let's calm down. I am calm, Jimmy. This is me being calm. You want to see me not calm? Keep talking. Her voice dropped to a menacing whisper that carried more weight than shouting could. The band leader made subtle hand signals, preparing for an emergency break or outro, but no one moved. 25 years I've been in this business. Jimmy, 25 years of dealing with people like you, people who think they can tear down women in this industry for sport. I've sat through interviews where hosts made inappropriate comments about my body, asked invasive questions about my personal life, and tried to pit me against other actresses, all for their own entertainment. Her voice rose, filling the studio with a force that seemed capable of shaking its walls, and every single time, I smiled. I deflected. I played the good sport, because that's what women in this business are expected to do. We're expected to take it with grace, laugh off the insults, and make the men attacking us feel comfortable with their behavior. Kimmel's confident smirk had evaporated. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Jennifer, I never meant to attack you. I was just doing my job. Your job. Her words exploded sharp enough to make audience members flinch. Your job is to ambush guests. Your job is to make people uncomfortable on live television. Your job is to break agreements and behave like a complete, unprofessional jackass. She leaned closer, hands flat on his desk, eyes locked on him. Let me tell you what your job actually is, Jimmy. Your job is to make your guests feel welcome. Your job is to help them promote their work in a comfortable, respectful environment. Your job is to entertain your audience without destroying people in the process, and it is certainly not to psychoanalyze me or my career choices based on gossip from unnamed sources. Who are these sources anyway? Because I'd love to know who's spreading lies about me being difficult. Kimmel opened his mouth, but she wasn't done. Oh, wait. You can't tell me, can you? Because they probably don't exist. You likely made it up to try to get a reaction. Well, congratulations, Jimmy, you got your reaction. How's that working out for you so far? The silence was deafening. Kimmel froze, like a man who had stepped on a landmine. The audience held their breath, sensing history in the making. Jennifer straightened, chest rising with rapid breaths, eyes blazing. Every woman watching this has been in a situation like this. Every woman has faced a man who thought he could bulldoze over her boundaries and acted shocked when she pushed back. Every woman has been labeled difficult, or a diva, just for demanding basic respect. Her words cut through the studio like a clarion call, speaking to every viewer, not just the host. So, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for giving me the perfect opportunity to show every young woman watching how to stand up to a bully who thinks he can hide behind a desk and a microphone. Thank you for demonstrating why women in this industry have to fight twice as hard for half the respect. Kimmel finally found his voice, weak and croaky. Jennifer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Jennifer's gaze could have melted steel. A misunderstanding. Jimmy, the only misunderstanding here is yours. You misunderstood who you were dealing with. You misunderstood what kind of woman sits in this chair, and you catastrophically misunderstood the consequences of your behavior. The camera captured every micro-expression as the reality sank in. His wit was gone. He looked like a deer in headlights. I think what I meant was, he stammered. No, Jimmy, you don't get to clarify. You said exactly what you meant. You planned this ambush, violated our agreement, and assumed I'd just sit here and take it like a good little Hollywood actress. She began pacing, energy too intense to stay still. You want to know what's really difficult, Jimmy? Building a career in an industry that constantly tries to tear you down. Maintaining your dignity when people like you use women for cheap entertainment. Sitting in rooms full of men who think your boundaries are suggestions, not requirements. Kimmel tried again. Jennifer, if I could just explain. Explain what? She spun to face him, every word dripping with controlled fury. Explain how you thought it was funny to blindside me with gossip and lies. Explain how you turned what should have been a professional interview into your personal roast of me. Please, Jimmy. I'm dying to hear it. Several audience members stared at him, expressions ranging from shock to disgust. Look, I was just trying to ask the questions people want answered, Kimmel muttered. No, you weren't, she shot back. You were trying to create a viral moment at my expense. You were manufacturing drama for clicks and views. You turned me into content, Jimmy, and that is exactly the kind of toxic behavior that needs to stop in this industry. She stepped back toward her chair, still standing, radiating power and control. You know what people actually want, Jimmy? Authenticity. Real conversations about real work. They want to hear about creativity, collaboration, and the craft of making entertainment. But you couldn't be bothered with any of that, could you? Kimmel's face flushed red anger, embarrassment, or both. It was impossible to tell. I've been doing this show for years, Jennifer. I know what makes good television, he said, trying to reclaim control. Jennifer's laugh was sharp and bitter. You think this is good television? Ambushing guests and breaking their trust is lazy television? It's cowardly television. It's what happens when hosts take cheap shots instead of doing the actual work of having interesting conversations. The audience, previously silent in shock, began to shift. Nods and murmurs of agreement replaced stunned silence. I've been on hundreds of talk shows, Jimmy. The best hosts, those who truly understand their craft, make guests feel safe and comfortable. They ask thoughtful questions. They listen. They treat guests like human beings, not content to be consumed. She leaned forward slightly, her tone firm and instructive. Those hosts understand that real entertainment comes from authentic moments, not manufactured controversy. Kimmel attempted again, voice weak. I really didn't mean for this to go this way. I was just trying to have some fun. Fun. Her voice cracked like a whip. Fun for who, Jimmy? Because I can guarantee you, it hasn't been fun for me. And judging by your audience, it hasn't been fun for them either. The only person who thought this would be fun was you, and that says everything about your judgment. She moved toward the stage edge, preparing to leave. You know what would have been fun? Talking about the incredible cast on my latest project, sharing stories from the set, celebrating the collaborative process. But you threw all that away for gotcha journalism, thinking cheap ambushes would be more entertaining. Desperation seeped into Kimmel's voice. Jennifer, please don't leave, let's start over. We can talk about your project. Jennifer turned back, eyes blazing, voice cold and commanding. Start over, Jimmy. There is no starting over. You've shown your true colors tonight, and they're not pretty. You've demonstrated the toxic behavior women in this industry have been fighting against for decades. Here's what's going to happen now. I'm walking off this stage with my dignity intact. I will continue creating the work I believe in with people who respect me. And you? You'll have to explain to your producers, your network, and your audience why you destroyed what should have been a perfectly professional interview. She paused at the exit, looking back one last time. Oh, and Jimmy, next time you want to ambush someone on live television, maybe pick someone who doesn't have 25 years of experience dealing with bullies exactly like you. The silence was profound. Kimmel sat frozen, the weight of the moment settling over him like a heavy blanket. The audience was motionless, unsure whether to applaud, boo, or simply sit in stunned silence. Even the band hesitated. Finally, Kimmel croaked, "We'll be right back after these messages." His voice stripped of its usual charm and confidence, and that's how one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses completely dismantled a talk show host who thought he could bulldoze over her boundaries for the sake of entertainment. Jennifer Aniston had shown the world exactly what happens when you underestimate a woman who spent decades learning how to stand up for herself in an industry designed to tear her down. What did you think of Jennifer's explosive response? Was she justified in calling him out publicly? Or did she go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more celebrity stories you won't see anywhere else.